Welcome to this last video in the Blended Learning series offered by the University of Alberta Centre for Teaching and Learning. The first section of the series focused on what blended learning is and what your blended learning could be. The second section focused on how blended interactions might occur in classes. This video will focus on assessment in a blended course. By the end of this introductory video, you should be able to determine which assessment methods are appropriate for the learning outcomes of your course. You should be able to establish what trade-offs exist between online and face-to-face assessments. And you should be able to explain how you could implement formal and informal assessments in your blended course. Let's start by considering how students are assessed in your course right now, as this is likely how you will assess students in a blended course. For example, if you currently assess students using multiple-choice exams, you'll probably decide to use online exams through eClass. Or if you prefer to have a discussion as part of formative assessment, you may choose to use eClass forums. There are many reasons why we assess students. Here are some of them. Assessment can be used to measure how someone's learning is progressing and to provide evidence of achievement. Assessment can be used to determine what prior knowledge, beliefs, or attitudes someone has in order to adjust the pace or the content of what is being taught. In other words, assessment can be used to plan subsequent learning experiences. Assessment can also be used to identify strengths and areas for improvement, not just for students' learning, but also for a whole program, a course, or a specific lecture or workshop, and to help improve the instructors to teach more effectively. Here is an example of a course assessment map. The University of Alberta's assessment policies state that assessment must be connected to the learning outcomes or learning objectives of a course. This course has 6 outcomes, each of which is assessed by the end of the course. The assessment column indicates how the learning outcomes are assessed. In other words, these are the graded assessments students will have to complete by the end of the course. This column indicates how each assessment is connected to Bloom's taxonomy. For those unfamiliar with this taxonomy, it is a way to classify learning into levels of complexity and specificity. This last column is one which should be familiar. It indicates the weighting each assessment is worth, for a total of 100% of the student's grade. However, assessment is not just about grading assignments and handing out marks, what is termed as summative assessment. Good learning and good teaching takes place when there is an appropriate balance between formative, or informal, assessment and summative, or formal, assessment. The goal of formative assessment is to provide ongoing feedback which can be used by instructors to improve teaching and also used by students to improve their learning. Formative assessment usually takes place during a period of learning, such as a unit of work or a course. Formative assessment is used to monitor learning in order to improve the learning. And evaluation is considered a process of learning. The goal of summative assessment is to evaluate students' learning at the end of a period of learning, such as a unit of work or a course, to assign grades and evaluate a student's achievements. Evaluation is considered a product of learning. Think of formative and summative assessment in your blended learning course like a train journey. The train travels along a track, moving from one station to the next station, and eventually will reach its final destination. As the train travels between stations, learners can receive formative feedback, which helps them to improve and gain confidence. This could be from the instructor, from peers, or from a personal self-assessment. And at each station, the learners are assessed on what they have learned, a recap of the journey so far, if you will. This is summative assessment and is most often done by the instructor, commonly in the form of an examination, assignment, or other graded task. Effective courses find a balance between formative and summative assessment so that students are supported throughout their learning. As an example, let's look at a mathematics course. The instructor has decided to use the following format. Before class, the students will watch a video about a topic which will be discussed in more depth in a subsequent face-to-face class. They will then complete similar mathematical problems so they are proficient before coming to class. Students can informally assess how well they have understood the concepts being discussed in the video, and they can replay sections of the video as necessary. They can also assess how successful they have been when applying the concepts from the video when completing similar problems. At the beginning of the face-to-face class, the instructor discusses misconceptions, common errors, and aspects students often find challenging. The instructor provides several practical problems which increase in difficulty and which use the skills learned from the video before class. The students work with a partner. During the task, they are formatively assessing how well they and their partner are doing and can support each other. The instructor may go around the room to check in on each group, formatively assessing how well the pair have applied the concepts learned before class to this practical activity and providing guidance when required. After class, students are asked to complete a weekly assignment which is submitted online and covers the material in a week's worth of study. Part of this assignment is to complete a 2-minute video in which they talk through a specific problem, how they approached it, and solve it. As the video is being planned and created, students are assessing their approach and their understanding. They may also get feedback from peers. The video could be summatively assessed by the instructor and given a grade, say 20% of the final course. And there are also midterm and final examinations which are summatively assessed by the instructor, which gives students another opportunity to demonstrate what they have learned. It is important to consider what types of assessments you will have during your face-to-face time. Most likely, they will be formative assessments, informally providing feedback on discussion points, group work, and so on. Equally, it is important to consider what types of assessment you will have during your online time. These should relate to your online interactions. So if you plan to have online discussions, perhaps you are providing comments. Or perhaps you are grading the students' online responses. If students are watching a series of videos, perhaps they will complete a reflection journal or complete a quiz. You also need to consider how you blend these. For example, if you have students watching a video about a theme of love in a play, you could ask them to complete some pre-questions with revealed answers before coming to class. You could then use these questions as the lead to a deeper discussion to questions you pose in class. Students are able to formatively assess their understanding of the basic questions before coming to class, where they will be encountering the deeper investigations. In a blended learning course, you must be very careful not to overload the students. This includes not over-assessing them. Asking students each week to watch a video, complete a reading, take a quiz, attend 3 hours of class, complete follow-up work, not to mention completing ongoing assignments, may cause students to lose interest and focus solely on summative assessments, that is, focusing only on what they need to do to get the grades. So, when planning your assessments, consider both formative and summative, the informal and formal, how often they occur and their consistency. Where do you need checkups? It is common to want to ensure students have watched the videos and have done all the readings by giving them a quiz. But these quizzes can add up, and many students may lose interest, particularly if they are not worth much in weight. So, formally assess in moderation and transform the stressed, disengaged student into a positive, engaged one. This concludes this video. If you have any questions, please contact ctl@ualberta.ca. Thank you.